right, hi all. Welcome to the outside. Today is still Tuesday. It's still the 26th. I know in the earlier video that you guys saw a little bit earlier, it was storming. Now the sun is back on. We are supposed to get more storms though this afternoon. So I'm going to do a very quick gardening update with me. The eggplants, there's really not much to say about the eggplants. They're still doing remarkably well. It's going to take time for them to finish growing. My parsley is trying to come back, but if you can see right there, and I don't know how well you guys can see, I still have a worm, or a caterpillar, I should say, not a worm, that is on it. So I don't know if he's going to eat the new growth or not. I'm just going to kind of let it go and maybe clean it up when winter comes and see how that is. Now, as for the garden is predominantly finished for the year. I haven't done anything with the garden, and I do need to come out here and pick some of these cucumbers. One cucumber did rot, and that's the one down here. That's actually no good because of how he's laid. But I need to come and get the squash, and I need to pick this guy, which I'm going to do. I also need to finish picking the wax beans, which are down here. And I need to come out and start harvesting the cabbages. The cabbages have pretty much finished growing for the year. They're done with. I do have, like I said, I have a pepper that is starting to grow over here. I have a couple of little ones. And I want to start harvesting the sage. Basically, everything else is pretty much done. I do have a couple of tomatoes that are still green that need to be harvested, and I'll do that probably in the coming weeks. It's supposed to be in the 80s this weekend, so it's still going to be nice and warm. But I figured I'd take a couple of minutes and let you, or maybe you guys have outdoor plants that you're planning on bringing in and don't know when to do that. Well, you want to kind of keep an eye on your weather forecast. If your weather forecast is starting to get into the low 40s, now we're not talking 48, 49, or 50 degrees. Your outdoor plants can still survive that. But if your nights are starting to get down into the upper 40s, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44 degrees, then you need to start thinking about bringing your plants in for the season. Now, here in Illinois, we have not gotten that cold yet. We've gotten down into the lower 40s, 47, 48 at night, and that's only been a couple of days. So my plants are okay outside for now. But you want to bring in your outdoor plants for the winter once you start to get the hint of your first frost. Now, I'm going to tell you guys it's not as simple as just grabbing your plants, bringing them in, letting them grow. There are a few things you need to do when you bring an outdoor plant indoors. One being you want to make sure and check the plant for any type of bug. You don't want to introduce your bug into your house. Now, I've been having a huge ant problem, and ants love dirt. As a matter of fact, that's where their homes are. So when I bring these two boxes of eggplant plus my rosemary and my rosemary lavender into the house, I need to make sure that there are no ants in there. If they are, you can simply take the plants out and repot them. Give them some time because that actually will shock the plant. But that's one way of doing it. And usually I like to do this in a big sink, or even if you have a bathtub that you're not using, just to, if you get any dirt in, you're not making a mess throughout your entire house. Or if you have an industrial or a utility sink down in your basement, that's the perfect place to do any type of repotting and stuff. And you just want to, like I said, you want to make sure that you're not bringing bugs into the house. Now, the other thing that you need to think about, and you definitely need to make sure that you do, is you want to make sure that your plants have plenty of sunlight. So if your plants have been in full sunlight, you want to make sure that they are getting a lot of sunlight in your house. Now, this can be tricky depending on how your house is laid out and which way your windows face. Obviously, the plants that require full sun, you want to put them in an area of your house that gets full sunlight throughout the day. You also want to be a little bit careful because you don't want to push your plants too close to windows where they could actually get cold and could freeze. So keep that in mind. Plants that require more shade can go a little bit further back, but keep in mind if your plants have been in shade all summer and have done really well, keep this in mind. You don't want to put them in a place that is constantly dark. Plants do need sunlight. So you're going to have to rotate them from shade to a little bit of sunlight so they get some sunlight to keep their growth. And you want to check your plants at least once a week to make sure they're well watered and that they're not showing any signs of distress. And I have plants that I forget to water in the winter time, and it's very easy to do that because you're so used to not watering them in the house that you have a tendency to forget that they're in the house. So you always want to keep a calendar, and nowadays phones are a great way to set weekly reminders, and you can set up a certain time that you water your plants and you give them the care that they need. Now, most plants don't need a lot of maintenance other than water for the winter time, and maybe to rotate them. You don't want a plant just sitting in the same spot month after month after month. You want to rotate the pot at least every other week so that the other side of the plant gets the sunshine that it needs. And again, make sure that your plant is not in any kind of distress. And we'll talk about distressed plants more in the winter time. So that was just a gardening tip from me, Joel. Thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button below. We're coming to an end on the gardening videos. This will probably be, like I said, one of the last ones. I may have one or two more coming up, and then we're pretty much done with for this season. And eventually we'll talk leaves because my tree is starting to drop leaves in the backyard. My fire bushes up front are actually starting to turn red. So we're coming into the fall area, and this is the time that you want to be proactive with your plants. If you have any plants that you're planning on bringing in for the winter time, you want to start getting them prepared, or an area of your house prepared to bring in the new plants. So thank you for tuning in. Tune in next time for a great Gardening with Joel update.